Hi there, Danville. I'm Olivia Moore. I am the Senior Media Manager for Danville Independent Schools. And in just a moment here, we're going to be joined by the Superintendent Finalists for the district. It's Dr. Rick Culross and Dr. Greg Ross. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be asking them some community questions. And the way that we gathered these questions is we sent out a survey on March 23rd on social media and our website asking for families, students, staff, and community members, including alumni, to submit questions they wanted the board to ask superintendent candidates. So we got 70 questions total from 28 different people. And the way we narrowed it down to the 3 questions we'll be asking today is we looked for some common themes and we narrowed them down to the 3 representative questions that we felt best represented the themes that were being asked in the questions. So without further ado, we're going to be joined by the finalists. First off, we have Dr. Rick Culross on the line. So Dr. Culross, the first question I have for you is, how do you plan to rebuild the trust and unity within the district with staff, students, and the community?
Throughout my 27 years in education, I've been fortunate to have experiences with many different roles in leadership and operations in several districts. Each of those opportunities have given me a unique exposure to a variety of situations, and it's forced me to really grow as a leader and a school employee and as a person. So in order to bring unity to Danville Independent School District, I plan to be very visible and approachable. I need to spend a lot of time in the community with students, staff, and community members and families. In order to have a strong community, you have to have a strong school district. In order to have a strong school district, you must have a strong community, and that requires unity. I model a team approach for employees and want them to be valuable and contributing members who enjoy coming to work. I will work to create a positive culture and climate based on trust, transparency, and feedback designed to help them grow in their jobs. In my first several weeks, I intend to be in each school, in the district, and each department regularly. I will meet with each principal, staff that are working, and families that come in for registration. I'll do the same with each department and the people that make up a variety of roles in the Danville School District. Through that, I think I will start to rebuild some trust. Furthermore, I plan to meet with community members and do the same thing, or community leaders and do the same thing. I also will hold focus groups with families and students to gain insight on ways to rebuild trust and establish confidence in the leadership team entrusted with communities, children, and families. I will accomplish this through regular conversations, visibility, and transparency in everything I do. I also intend to implement a survey program to make sure we are continuously improving in unity and customer service and meeting needs for our students, families, and staff.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So the next question is, why do you want to serve as the leader of Danville students, their families, staff members, Danville alumni, and the community?
There are many facets of Danville Independent School District I admire and want to be part of. I started my teaching career in an independent school district. I got to know how valuable the independent school district was to the city of Dalton, and Danville has that same positive feel. Since I've moved to Central Kentucky in 2012, I've spent a great deal of time in Danville. I live in Lancaster, and I shop, worship, and spend a considerable amount of time in Danville with my family every weekend, and I love it there. My background in the field of public education, my work in several districts, and the various roles I've served has provided me with experiences the Danville Community School District needs to lead it in becoming one of the highest performing districts in the state. I started my career in an independent school district and got to see firsthand how vital the local district was to the community and vice versa. I want to utilize my leadership and skills and experiences to nurture and foster the same spirit in the Danville Independent School District. Danville Independent Schools have the components needed to be successful and move to the next level with the right choice for superintendent. I'm up to that challenge. I admire the strength of the district and the pride that goes back many, many years in Danville Independent Schools. As superintendent, I'll bring that focus along with creating new and lasting sources of pride. Furthermore, I think the location, the businesses and industry that make up the community offers opportunities for partnerships for students and real-world opportunities for our students and staff. Similarly, I'll build on partnerships with Center College and other schools and really like the location of that. I've got an affinity for Danville and my 8 years of experience in school leadership and principal of a large high school, as well as my 15 years of district leadership, including student services, human resources, and school operations, make me an excellent fit for the community, and I look forward to the opportunity.
That's great to hear. Thank you. And our last question is, how in your leadership have you worked to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion?
I was blessed to have been provided with various experiences in my life throughout the 4 districts I've worked in, with a variety of situations, students, staff, and community members. While I'd had some experiences with diversity and inclusion through school and college, my first teaching position was in Dalton Public Schools in Georgia, and it really opened my eyes to what equity, diversity, and inclusion was about. As a teacher, I served an incredibly diverse population. Dalton was experiencing a large growth in Hispanic population, which grew to over 50% in the time I taught there. I quickly learned about meeting the cultural needs as well as educational needs of all students. Furthermore, I was one of the first teachers in the district and state using a model brand new at the time called Inclusion for Students with Special Needs. In that model, I co-taught and strived to meet the needs of all students in a mainstream classroom. After leaving Dalton, I found in Simon Kenton and Kenton County an extremely different type of equity, diversity, and need for inclusion. The diversity in the school mainly dealt with socioeconomic status, with a high level of students in poverty. I worked closely with families and students and staff in the Covington Independent School District throughout my doctoral program as well. While I've been Director of Student Services in Kenton and Scott County, I've worked with an extremely varied group of students with cultural, economic, and special needs through many issues. I work very hard to implement social and emotional support into each school and program I support and create support for individual students and student groups. As Director of Human Resources for several years, I've also utilized those experiences to deal with the diversity and inclusion and individual needs of staff members. I continue that as a focus for all staff and students as I've been Deputy Superintendent in Montgomery County Schools, as we have both socioeconomic and cultural diversity in each of our schools, and I plan to use my experiences to lead with a focus on equity and inclusion.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Culross, for your time. We really appreciate it. We have our next superintendent finalist. This is Greg Ross. How are you doing, Greg?
I'm doing really well. I'm happy to be talking to you right now.
All right. So we have some community questions for you. These are from the Danville community. The first question is, how do you plan to rebuild the trust and unity within the district with staff, students, and the community?
Well, I would start off by just focusing on what the community values and putting assurances in place that we are diligent working toward those things. You know, as education is our primary focus, we will make sure we are working creatively to provide the highest quality of instruction while also providing opportunities for our students to find their genius, whether it be the arts or athletics, career and technical education, even to gifted and talented, esports, the FFA. There's nothing we will not do to ensure every child has the opportunity to reach their full potential. Also, I have a phrase that I feel just kind of describes me and the way that I purposefully move forward in this I live the classroom. That means if it's important to the child under my watch, it has to be important to me as well. And that's not optional. So I want that mindset to be, to truly become part of the Danville way in reference to our education professionals. Also, I'll completely be present. Danville will be my home. I will see things from the perspective of if it's something that I want for my child, then I want it for everyone's child. For the last 12 years, I've had one question that I've asked at every interview, and that is, can you look across that desk and have the same goals and aspirations for that child that you would your own? And that's the way we would handle everything, to truly have the same goals and aspirations for every child of Danville that we would the children that live under our roof. So that's the way that I would do my best to try to rebuild that trust and unity, and mainly just being present, being there with the sole focus of assuring that every child in Danville can reach their full potential.
Fantastic. Thank you. So our next question is, why do you want to serve as the leader of Danville students, their families, staff members, Danville alumni, and the community?
Wow. It's a loaded question. Danville has a historical value like no other town in Kentucky. Whether you call it Titletown or the city of First or the home of Bate High or 2nd Street, the will, determination, and grit of those memories are not gone nor forgotten. They just need to be revived. So the educational excellence once seen is not forgotten. It just needs to be revived. We have so many resources and human landmarks. People like Jane Dewey, who recently received the Education Award and the 2021 Governor's Award of the Arts. Folks like Frank X. Walker. The list can go on and on, whether it be athletics, the arts, and then places like the Norton Center, and just so many great things. So why wouldn't I, is the question. Why wouldn't I want to make a place like that my home? Growing up in Paducah, Kentucky, that athletic prowess and just that grit, determination, and that fight that you have from small communities, a powerful thing, but also the beauty, the arts, the leisure, the culture is so powerful as well. And with so many community stakeholders, it's a place that anyone would want to make their home. And I also see such a strong trajectory within the field of education. There's so many positives and so many things that we can do. So it's a very exciting place to want to be.
That was great. Thank you so much, Dr. Ross. So our last question is, how in your leadership have you worked to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion?
So those that have followed my career from whether it be on the police force to the classroom, diversity, equity, and inclusion is really all I know. I like Danville having a lot of firsts. I have a lot of firsts as well. I was the first black graduate of a school from Marshall County in history. I was the first black basketball coach at Mid-Continent University. I was the first black graduate from West Kentucky University's doctoral program. So, this idea of diversity, equity, inclusion is so important to me, whether we're talking about racial diversity, cultural diversity, socioeconomic diversity, religious diversity. All those things are so important to me that we can create a family in the midst of it. The beauty that I've been able to have in my school setting is connecting families within my school community from different backgrounds. In my current school, yes, we have a very high pre-reduced population, but we also cater to one of the highest socioeconomic populations in Lexington. So being able to bridge those two to create the Talmy Way has been important to us. And when I think about, the connections that we can make within Danville and make it the Danville way of doing things, of just being respectful of each one and their desires and wishes, but also achieving that singular goal and focus. I also believe in empowering all communities, whether it be empowering our classified workers within our school settings, clarifying their roles as educational leaders in our building, and also working with agencies all across the country to provide equity in different facets of our community. I think that when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's just a natural derivative of what I've done throughout my career. So I feel like that's something that comes with not only my personality, but also with my instructional foundation. So when I think about how we can impact that in the school system, it's very encouraging and empowering to me.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Ross, for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for allowing me to speak a little bit. I'm grateful.